You are listening to episode 282 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and here on the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and this week, we're talking more premium edition games with Barry and Phil in the Wasteland. Guys, thanks for hopping on.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're happy to be here.
All right, so Phil, it's been a while since we had you. We had Barry a couple weeks ago. So I was telling Barry a couple weeks ago, I'm like, we got to have Phil on as well. Like, it's got to be a nice combination, you know?
Yeah. It's been
absolutely.
It's been a minute since I've been on.
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, you know, we like to talk about here, but let's kick it off with where you can find the Game Deflators Podcast and where we can find premium edition games. So you can find us on the GameDeflators.com, our out-of-date website as of right now, as of today. Barry always gets a good laugh out of that. I haven't updated the most recent episode, Barry. That's what it is. You can also find us on social media at Game Deflators, on X at The Game Deflators, on Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. You can find us on YouTube. We're on there. And then you're listening to a podcast app. Leave us a 5-star review. We'd greatly appreciate it. Like and subscribe. Guys, where can we find Barry Carenza and where can we find Phil?
You can find me on Twitter over at Hawk Hellfire. I'm also on Blue Sky and on Fuse, same handle. You can find Nintendo Fuse, which I do a bi-weekly podcast on every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can find us on YouTube as well as NintendoFuse.com, all social media outlets, Nintendo Fuse. And then for Premium Edition, Phil, why don't you tell us where people can find Premium Edition games?
Premium Edition, you can find us on at Premium Edition 1 on Twitter. We have our YouTube channel, Premium Edition Games. You can find our website, premiumeditiongames.com. Purchase all of our amazing games. We also have a Discord, Premium Edition. Just join us there. We have so many wonderful things for y'all to check out, so definitely join us there. As for myself, you can find me at Filling Up Collects. I'm pretty much that on all social media. I have a YouTube channel, Filling Up Collects, so join me there. I do all kinds of collection videos and funny videos, just lots of good stuff.
Appreciate it, guys. Well, let's dive into some of our recent pickups. So I'll kick it off, just set the stage here. Princess Peach Showtime. So Barry, we talked about a couple weeks ago. We had some gift cards lying around. Cost me $5 to get Princess Peach.
Nice. And what do you think?
I haven't played it yet.
It's not good. It's still in the package.
Still in the package, so I have no idea. But that's the game my wife wanted to grab. We had our options. Amazon was doing they have a sale going on right now. I think it's like $40 for a number of Nintendo games. And so we went into our Target, which of course is pretty much bare bones on all video games, which seems to be the case in a lot of our local area stores, specifically here. Because if I go to like other parts in like Mesa and Scottsdale and those types of areas, games are flooded all over. But for whatever reason, like my general area, 0 games. Like it's very minimal what they have. So went ahead and picked up that. I also got the new Dungeons and Dragons Converse shoes. So I had to throw it out there. They had limited edition D&D shoes, which look badass. So I grabbed those. And then my full-blown set of the Dungeons and Dragons Lego set came in. So I'm actually pretty stoked about that. It has a little campaign tied to it for one shot. And I don't know how much you know about this, but one of the issues they had is the Mimic that was supposed to come as a gift with purchase for the Lego sets sold out instantly. And it's going on eBay for like $200, whatever it may be. It's insane. It's like a 400-piece Lego set and selling for $200. So like, screw that. I know other ways to make this happen. So I found a mock set. And so what people do on, I think it's like Bricklinks is the name of the website. They'll actually redo what it is based on the pieces available to Legos. So there's tons and tons. I mean, you got to think there's millions of pieces of Lego that are out there that can be utilized to be able to build different things from scratch, right? So they call them mocks. And somebody made a mock Mimic, and they listed every single part that's necessary to make an exact replica of what that Mimic looks like. The only difference being is that the eyes are not the same. And so I ended up buying that. And it was, I think, $35 to get from 3 different sellers to get that instead of 200. So I was like, that's all I need. It's a little dice box, and throw it together, and it goes with your D&D Lego set. So I'm excited about that. That should be arriving pretty soon. And then as far as what I'm currently playing, I am still playing Tales of Symphonia. So I am right now in the Meltokyo sewers. So Phil, not too far off from where we were last time we talked. A lot of that is the dad's sleepy time in the middle of gaming, starting about 8:30, 9 o'clock, where you're trying to game and you just start dozing off. So that's what's happening there. But I am in the sewers and making my way up the second chosen one. I forget his name because it's too early on to remember that. And we're just kind of figuring out what the heck's going on and trying to save both worlds, Tefeala and what's my other world called? Silveron. Yeah. See, I'm actually remembering names. It's actually kind of surprising.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm shocked. Like, that doesn't happen normally. So that's where we are right now, and it's kind of hilarious. Like, in this dungeon or these sewers, the special thing for the sorcerer ring is turning little. So it's like, oh, I got to get little to go against around spider webs or go through different walls, and then turn big again for these blue blocks. So it's kind of cool how all that's broken out. But that's what's happening right now. And then the other game I'm playing, Barry, I already told you what it was. Phil, I'll tell you afterwards or on Twitter. Secret game. I'm not telling Ryan what it is. He will find out when it is complete. But it's a secret game I'm playing with my wife. And let's just say it's kind of Dark Souls-esque in a way when I'm playing. So we'll leave it at that. How about yourselves, Barry? You want to kick it off?
So in terms of pickups, the outside of the usual, whatever new game comes out for the collection, I like to grab things as people who listen to this podcast and have heard me before. I like to grab things that I consider museum pieces, things that are just really unique. Very few people in the world really give a crap. I'm one of those few people. And whenever there's something that I see or I learn about that I've never heard of before, it excites me. It's like, oh, this is something new. So something came across my my network sphere, hadn't heard of before, looked into it, and I happened to find one. So I wound up grabbing it, and it came in, and that is the Famicom Study Box, which was an add-on to the Famicom in Japan that you plug into the top, and it was a cassette player. It played cassettes, and it was educational cassettes. And a lot of people forget the Famicom stood for Family Computer, and in Japan it was used for more than just gaming, unlike the NES here. And I thought that was really interesting. Never heard of it before. And apparently the cassettes are really, really hard to find. Mine came with one cassette, which is enough for me to display, so I'm at least happy. But like it's an English cassette, so you can like learn English from the Famicom. I think that's really, really cool. I love when companies think outside the box like this. So I had to pick it up. In terms of what I'm playing, the main game I'm playing right now is Rise of the Ronin on the PS5, and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it a lot. It's an open world samurai epic game. The story is a little bit confusing, but the gameplay itself is phenomenal. The world is fun to explore, and I'm just having a blast. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to do everything, and before I know it, I've just spent 8 hours just doing side stuff that I don't need to do because it's fun. Um, dare I say it? I'm having more fun with it than Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Um, and I beat that game, and I spent like 80 hours in that game or whatever. And I think I might even be having more fun with it than Persona 3 Reload, which again, another game I beat and and I'm not done with it yet. It's an open world game. I feel done right. 7 had some struggles with the open world, and Gungadza needs to burn in a fire of death for open world exploration. But I'm really enjoying Rise of the Ronin. I know some people harp on it for the graphics. The graphics aren't the best in the world. You know what? They're not. I don't care. It's all about gameplay for me, and I'm having fun. So yeah, the combat is good. It's got a really you can't just like mash button to attack. I mean, you can, but you're not going to always win because they will block, and you have your own block button, and you need to parry and knock down their stamina to give them like critical hits, and like it's kind of like this dance. Every fight is like a dance, and I kind of like that. It's a change of pace as opposed to just mash the X button to win. But yeah, the story is cool. The characters are cool.
So Rise of Ronin, I keep hearing graphics sort of big issue in that game that doesn't stand up to what the PS5 power can deliver, right? So what's your verdict on that?
It looks beautiful. There, in
Okay.
fact, my wife's walked in and go, "Oh, that's gorgeous." Like the scenery. Is it 128 billion frames per
Mm.
second with 3 billion teraflops? No, but it doesn't need to be. I haven't had any graphical glitches. The characters look great. The animation looks great. The combat is fluid. I mean, you get an occasional clipping here or there with clothes, like every game pretty much does, but it doesn't affect it at all. Like sometimes when you pick up the cats will go through your helmet or whatever. That's always a weird clipping issue with clothes when you can have different things. They don't make a scene for every single piece of armor. I get it. That's fine. I'm not going to harp on that. I mean, you could if you want to be nitpicky, but I understand how difficult it is to program. But and you'll see pictures of people like, look, this graphic is missing, whatever. I never encountered that, and maybe that was before the patch. I don't know. There was a patch when I put the disc in, but it's been beautiful, and I've been enjoying it. So
I've
if you try it,
I've played enough Bethesda games that, you know, it shouldn't bug anybody, right? If you played a Fallout game,
yeah,
then you're
Yeah,
pretty much
yeah,
set,
I
right,
well,
with
this
any
agree.
other
this is
game.
nowhere near as buggy. This is nowhere near like that at all. This is a Tecmo Koei, I
Yes,
believe,
yes,
or
I
Temco.
just looked it up
It's
because I was like,
Team
this
Ninja.
game sounds really cool. I know this has to be a game I'm interested in. And I just looked it up and it is. It's a Koei Tecmo game. And I was like, they made Neo 1 and
Yeah,
2, one of my most praised games on the PS4 and PS5. Like, that collection on PS5 is so jam packed. 2 games, all the DLC. I
yep.
love those games. And I love Koei Tecmo. And I'm looking right now at the scores as soon as I Google this game. GameSpot gave it a 7 out of 10, IGN 7 out of 10, too much water. Metacritic 76, and Mashable, whatever that is, 2.8 out of 5. People are so weird these days. It's like if everything isn't
You know
just
what?
hyper realistic graphics, and they just.
Here's what it is. Reviews are subjective.
Mm-hmm.
They're 100% subjective.
I
And
agree.
you're going to see somebody say this is the best game in the world and someone say I absolutely hated it. I mean, every single game is as Breath of the Wild universally loved. There's people that didn't like it, and that's okay. This to me, this game, I raise games not on graphics,
Mm-hmm.
but on fun factor, which encompasses control as well. Um, if I'm having fun with the game, especially now that I'm a father, time is more limited. It's one of those things where I'm enjoying myself, and when I can sit there and have a 4-hour gaming session and not realize I'm having a 4-hour gaming session because I'm just engrossed in it, that to me that wins. That's what I need. And I had the same thing with 7 Rebirth. I had the same thing with Persona 3 Reload. I had the same thing with a lot of games. This game, I am just really having a blast, and it's just fun. And I
I'm gonna
didn't
have
think
to
I
pick it
would. Didn't think I would as much.
Phil, you
It's a
said
Sony game too.
you said Mashable gave it a 2.8 out of 10.
Or
Five,
2.5 out of 10. I don't even know
five.
what that is. I never even heard of them before.
Oh, at a
No,
10? I thought he said at a 5.
yeah, I was gonna say like not even the worst games that have come out in the last like couple of years get below a 6. Like in no way should like that right there to me like kills your credibility as
No.
somebody trying to review a game to give it. I mean that's a personal attack at that point to a
Yeah.
game. I mean, if your lowest scores are like and 7, 10, 6, that's saying hey, there's like some negligible issues with this game that we want to call out, and maybe there's
Exactly.
certain factors that we just didn't enjoy. But a 2.8 is like the worst of the worst. Like
Yeah.
absolutely
Exactly.
hated it. It's graphically it's terrible. It's got glitches. The story sucks. The gameplay sucks. Like that's when you start giving it 2.8 out of
If
10.
if you like Ghost of Tsushima, this is like which I did. This
Yeah, same
is
here. I platinumed it.
this oh then you'll love this. This is almost like a Ghost of Tsushima too.
Nice.
It's nice because like you can do combat like I said straight up or like Ghost of Tsushima Assassin. You could hide in the grass and stab. You could get on a roof and use your grapple and pull somebody up onto the roof and slice their neck. This game also does have a glider like Breath of the Wild, so you can glide around. That's my only issue actually with the game is like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom. You can jump and immediately push the button again to pull out the glider, even though you're about to land. This game has like a ground check, and you can only use it if you're so much off the ground. So if you jump off a roof and there's like a lower roof, like it won't hit right away, and it's like, oh, you gotta like mash the button. That's my only gripe, and that could be easily fixed with a patch. But yeah, you can glide, and you have the grapple hook, so you can grapple to roofs. You can there's like floating kites that you can grapple to and launch yourself into the air and sail across the Japanese um landscape. And it's set in the 1800s, where Americans and the French have landed, and some people want to trade, and some people are purists and say you're hurting the Japanese culture. It's a really cool story. You get to choose whether you want to be pro shogun or anti shogun, and there's different inventions. The camera was just invented, so you have your own little photo mode, and it's a lot of fun. And there's a big skill tree upgrade, different stats, and a lot of equipment, a lot of weapons too. There's probably like, I don't know, maybe 10 different weapons you can use, plus different secondary weapons like bow or guns or pistols. And you can even do the invention that's like a flamethrower. You walk around and just flamethrow. It's
Nice.
a lot of fun. So if you like Ghost of Tsushima, you like Koei Tecmo games, then definitely give it a shot. You could look up reviews and see if it's your type of game, but
Oh
I'm
no,
really enjoying it.
I look, when I first saw the trailer, I knew it was my type of
Yeah.
game. So I mean, I'm good. Like that's my style. I love those style of games. The historical aspects, I'm a big fan of that. And then my favorite Souls based game, Soulsborne, Sekiro, everything you want to call it. Sekiro is actually my favorite. So uh, all of that Japanese lore, everything is tied into it. Absolutely love it. So I'm excited to play that one for sure. Phil, how about you, man? Recent pickups? What are you playing?
Yeah, well, recent pickups, I got Yuden Chronicles Rising, from VGP. I got several games from VGP, and, they included the, soundtrack in it, which was a pre-order bonus for me, so that was cool. Got that for PS5. I got Dragon's Dogma 2. I was really excited for that as a sequel. I never thought in a million years they were ever going to do a sequel for that, so that was really cool. I'm still
I'm
kind
sorry,
of
Phil.
I still kind of wish they would have done an online for it, because I know there was a discontinued MMO for like the PS3 years and years ago, and I was bummed that never came out in the West. So it would have been cool that they actually brought that over, or they gave us an online mode in the game, but it's whatever. Dragon Quest Treasures, I picked that up. I love Dragon Quest, so I was happy to have that. And then also I got Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion on the PS5, because for some odd reason that is going for buku bucks, and VGP was like the only place that had the reprint. So I got that. That is crazy to me that PS5 games are going for that much. I don't understand what's going on. I don't think games that come out literally now should be scalped. That just seems so wrong to me. Um,
It's because games are getting printed less, because physical games are only making up like 5 to 10% of sales now, which sucks. So they're printing less, and then people suddenly, oh, I want to own that physical. It's like they're starting to realize, oh, I made a mistake. I should get this.
yeah.
And by then it's too late.
I've been noticing a lot lately that PS4 copies of games are selling out more than PS5 copies. And I wonder if that's because people have finally kind of caught on, like, I don't know if I want to get the new slim PS5 with the wonky disk drive attachment, or whatever it is, because I know there was some kind of like internet thing that you have to worry about there. So I have no idea why that's happening, but
I think it's because companies are doing less print,
yeah,
because PS5s or games are selling more, so they'll be like, oh, we'll do 5,000 PS5 copies, but we're only going to do a minimum print of 1,000 PS4.
yeah,
So that's why.
that
That's my prediction.
that could possibly be it. Who knows? But yeah, it's kind of making me want to get specific games for PS4, like PS4 copies over PS5. But yeah, so those are the games that I picked up. And lately, aside from playing games for premium, I've been playing a lot of Fortnite, which is so weird because I was one of those people that is like, Fortnite is garbage. That's like a little kid game. Don't play that. But man, my family has been playing it, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. So I hopped on, re-downloaded it, tried it, and it's like day and night. When that game first dropped years ago, all they had was just you drop in from the bus and then you have to fight people, but there was only like building, there was no other modes. Now they got the whole Lego mode, which is this big open world like Minecraft, and you're walking around, you're building stuff, you're petting a cow and it gives you a gallon of milk, and you're doing all this cool stuff. And then there's the racing, the rocket racing. You're racing on the street, you're racing on the walls, you're jumping and flipping around. That's crazy. And the festival mode, which is pretty much Guitar Hero in Fortnite. And then, of course, all these player created modes. Somebody made a whole RPG, and it had like pixel characters, and you could walk around in this pixel pop-up 3D village, but you're your Fortnite character, and you're just walking around interacting with NPCs, killing monsters. Somebody recreated like the Resident Evil mansion, and it was literally, they had the puzzles and the rooms set up the right way. The only difference was like it was like Fortnite enemies, the zombies or whatever. That was cool. So there's lots of cool things they put in Fortnite, and I'm just so impressed by what they've done with that. And when that Disney stuff happens, I wonder what else they're gonna add, because I know there's a big Disney collaboration coming. So that's what I've been really playing lately. I don't know why I'm so into that when I have so many other games to play, but Fortnite has captured my attention right now.
Well, Phil, I won't kick you off the podcast just yet. We'll continue talking to you, but we're gonna have to have a deep discussion on Fortnite versus playing some premium edition games. We'll have to talk about that. Oh man.
And Phil, I'm sorry about your Dragon's Dogma 2 purchase.
Why?
Barry,
What?
I told Phil, we like to talk about recent pickups on a week-to-week basis, and Dragon's Dogma, if all of its microtransactions, will give Phil unlimited pickups.
Oh, it's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put that game down, Phil. I loved the first one. I bought the second. I played it, and I got about a third of the way through the game, and I quit. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. It's there's too many negatives of that game that
Oh man,
Capcom
that's
should
a
have addressed.
bummer. That's a bummer to hear.
There's if you want to fast travel, like in most open world games, you have to have an item to fast travel and use it. And that item is very hard to come by, but you can pay them real money to get more items to fast travel.
I thought you
if
could.
you don't mind fast.
I thought you
do what?
needed the same like fairy whatever stones it was in the first game. It's been so long since I played.
You do, but they were more accessible in the first game.
Oh,
In this one, they limited them and made you pay for more fairy stones.
oh, that's wrong.
This one, I don't remember it happening in the first one. It might have, but when you're out in the wild and you take damage, it lowers your max health. So after a while of fighting, your max health will go down to under 50% of your max health. And the only way to recoup it is to stay at an inn, which costs money, or to set up camp, or at a bed. If you buy a house, you could use your bed. But you have to set up a camp. But you need camp supplies, and camp supplies are heavy. And the game has a weighted system. So if you're carrying camp supplies, you are heavier, therefore you attack slower and move slower. So you can give it to a pawn, but then they attack and move slower, and you kind of need this on you at all times. And you need multiple, and they're all very heavy. Then there's the save system. So most games have save slots, and this game has two. The first is called an inn save. So anytime you save at an inn, any inn, it will save your progress. You can load it up anytime, which is great. And the second time is really nice. You just hit start and you hit save and continue. That's a fantastic system. Except this game also has an autosave. That autosave happens whenever there's a big enemy happening or some big event, or just randomly, and that overrides your save and continue. So if a griffin is about to pounce on you and you don't see it, and it autosaves, and then it kills you and you reload, the griffin's about to pounce on you again, and you have to run, and you better hope that you can get away. And if you can't, you have no choice but to reload your last in save, which I hope wasn't too long ago because I was in town. It's a terribly archaic system, and it drives me crazy.
It sounds like a game where they said, let's make this really, really big for a world map and then have missions from one end to the other. And oh, you're out of fast travel stones. Looks like you're going to have to buy more if you want to progress faster.
I'm sitting here trying to
Yeah.
remember if that health penalty thing was in the first game or not. I feel like it was, but I don't remember because I'm going to have to dust off the first game because it's been a while.
It might have been, but it just, with all the other things compounding on it, it was very, like, if it's like, oh, my health is low, let me just fast travel back to town and rest or something, and then fast travel back out to where I was or to the nearest campfire
Yeah.
or kind of deal. That would be fine, but it's not. And when it gets dark, you better have your lantern on, otherwise you can't see in front of your face.
Oh yeah, I remember that about the first game too. Like it got dark and you
Yeah.
couldn't see anything. But
It gets dark. I mean, if you enjoy it, I hope you do.
I guess we'll find out because I bought it. I pre-ordered it for the Steelbook because you know me, like the Steelbook pre-order bonuses.
And I didn't even get the Steelbook, damn it.
All right. Well, beyond Barry's PTSD of Griffins, let's dive into some premium edition game updates. So we had the Series 8 Direct that happened 2 weeks ago. I think it was March 25th.
March
right?
25th, yeah.
Yeah. So let's hear about all the greatness that came from that. The last episode we had you on, it was teasers as to what we could expect. And I tried to get it out of Barry, folks. He would not budge. He is true to his word that he won't release anything in advance. So now that we're here 2 weeks later,
yes,
what do we have to say?
Oh boy! So first off, did you watch it?
I did watch. I told you I watched it.
And did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it. I also enjoyed some Tadpole, Trumbull, Echo audio and singing and dancing and everything that goes along with it. Dude, that was seriously hilarious. Like the second that happened, I was like,
Barry said, "You're gonna have to sing," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "Yeah, you got to sing this line." I'm like, "What?" He caught me off guard.
Yeah. So yeah, because when writing the script, I try and envision everybody that's doing it, and for Tadpole, I had Phil talk about Tadpole, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Let me come back from it and have Phil sing. So I told him, and Phil's like, what are you talking about? What am I singing? I said, did you not watch the trailer? He's like, no. So I sent him the trailer, and he's going, oh, I get it now. So he did a great job, and thanks for being a good sport, Phil, for that. I thought that was fantastic. When I heard it, I was like, you did it. That was great. But yeah, so that's one of the games in Series A's Tadpole Treble Encore, which is a rhythm platformer, very hilarious. Every level has its own theme, its own music, original music. But if that's not enough, you could make your own music in this game, a la Mario Paint, and then play it. So it's not just making the music, but you get to play the levels, and it's just a quirky story. It's fun, the beautiful graphics. What an adventure! And I think this is a Wii U game that is now defunct because you can't download it anymore on the Wii U. It was a Kickstarter, critically acclaimed, and we're glad to be able to preserve it physically.
So it's funny because a few weeks ago you said, hey, there's going to be a few games on here, but one of them I know is really going to stand out to you, one that you or it's really going to be your type of game. And when I finished watching, I was like, oh, I got to get the Tadpole. So I was like, that's the one. So I don't think that was on your bingo card as far as like what John was going to pick as like his favorite out of everything that was shown.
You know what? We try and diversify, right? We try and do different games of different genres, and not every series is going to have a game for everybody. And we understand that, but we want to do something fun. As long as the game resonates with us and is fun and enjoyable, then we go for it. So we're seeing a lot of positive responses, and we love that. And hopefully it helps these developers, get some attention their way. Phil, you want to talk about the second game or another game from Series 8?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Scarlet Tower, because this game is pretty awesome. Oh man, there's like so much action, so much color going on screen, all the enemies coming at you, and then the upgrades and the power ups. It's so cool. It looks so awesome, and it's definitely my game. I know I'm gonna just like dive straight in there, and it's gonna be I'm gonna just play for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna lose 5 hours. And be like, what happened? Where did the time go? Because there's just so much you can do in there, and it just looks so good, so good.
The
I'm so
the
excited for that.
music you guys had complementing that trailer was phenomenal.
Mm,
Like it fit so perfectly to music on that trailer.
Every game had beautiful music. It was like the theme.
yeah.
The music in every trailer was
Yeah,
phenomenal.
that one in particular though, like that was
Yeah,
some real hype music
Oh
for that
yeah.
type of game. It's like
Yes.
you have this like metal going on in the background and
Ye-
like things just exploding everywhere. I was like, yeah, this is cool.
yeah. So this is like Vampire Survivors. It's, tons of enemies at you at the same time, constantly leveling up. 7 different characters with different classes and different trees you can do per character. It's got a day-night system. It's the perfect one more run kind of game, and it has so much. They added so much to this game, like the content. People have been playing it for well over 90 hours on Steam. This game is in digital lot check at this point. It's supposed to be releasing this week digitally on the Switch. Nintendo did find one weird bug with it that sent it back, so that's been fixed. And yeah, once it's out digitally, we'll be able to play it and test it and give it just a little bit of time to make sure any Switch bugs are ironed out, that the players find, and then we'll be able to print the game, because this is a true awesome game, and we're really happy to be working with them to bring it out. And again, I don't think a lot of people really even knew this game was a thing, so that seems to be the theme, introducing games that a lot of people have never even heard of.
Which I mean is a good thing, right? It kind
Yeah,
of opens us up to experiencing new things that we didn't think we needed in our lives. So it's great.
exactly.
And then your third game is Gordian Quest.
Gordian Quest.
Let's talk about that.
Man, this game. This is the one I was actually referring
Oh,
to for you,
really?
John,
Okay.
because this is Dungeons and Dragons. This game is deck based, but it's not overwhelmingly deck based. It has over 700 cards, but you don't have access to them all. You pick from one of 10 fighters or 110 characters, different job class. Each character has 4 different decks they can pick from, that change the way they play. That's your starter deck. It's only like 15 cards or so. It's not overwhelming. And then as you progress in skill trees, you get to pull random cards from the other decks into your deck, and you can by the end you make this like mismatch of a hybrid deck, if you will. And you get 3 people in your party from those other 9 remaining people. You encounter them, and you recruit them, so you get to build your dream party. The story is really cool. It's set up in acts a la Diablo. The battles are a grid-based system, and they just work really well. You get start off with 3 moves per turn, 3 cards you can play, and then you can expand that depending on your equipment. Equipment will also give you additional cards sometimes for your deck, and will enhance those cards. The game is just crazy, and Dungeons and Dragons scenarios, you'll find like question marks, and you click it, and it's like, oh, you hear music in the forest. Do you want to, chase it down, or do you want to leave it? And if you chase it down, it's like, oh, well, you wind up falling into a trap. Roll, roll to see if you escape the trap unscathed, and you have to roll a d20. And the cool thing is each character, like say that's particularly based on their dexterity. So each character has a different dexterity. So if they have high dexterity, they may have to roll a 6 or higher. Or maybe if someone's slower, they have to roll a 12 or higher. You can now look through your cards and pick one card that will give you a boost. Maybe a card gives a +5. So you decide to use that card. So now instead of, whatever you roll, you're going to get a +5. So instead of really rolling a 12, now you only have to roll a 7. And then you roll it, and you're good, and you escape. But now that card becomes unusable until you rest. But you'll still draw that card in battle. So you'll draw an unusable card. So it kind of gives a risk reward. Do you want to sacrifice a card for a better chance at success and a bonus thing, and then have to go back and rest? I love it. There's different mini games. There's like an exploration mini game. There's a camp mini game. You can camp and choose how your heroes are spending their time. You have like 12 hours in camp, and each action takes different hours, and you set what they do. And there's so much of this game. This is a 20 to 30 hour epic. And I thought of you because there's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons inspired elements, and being the D&D fan you are, I'm like, this will probably resonate with you.
Yeah, no, it definitely did, dude. And even like the subtle details, like the camp, right? Spending however much time during what would be a long rest to do certain
Hmm.
activities is exactly what would happen in a campaign, right? Now, obviously, at the table, you're spending like, maybe 30 minutes talking
Yeah.
it through, but those actions are taking place, and it's cool to kind of see that all come together and be enacted out in a game. So
Yeah.
definitely a lot of cool elements there. And even, like you mentioned, a +5 to add to what essentially is a bad roll or whatever may be
Yeah.
happening. Those are things like inspirations that happen within a campaign to give you that little boost to overcome whatever bad roll you might have had or whatever small deficit to get you over to that next part. So yeah, cool stuff, dude. And then obviously it's just that very much the combat style as well, how it lines up with the cards is quite nice.
Oh yeah. It's beautiful, beautiful game. I played this to test it. I played I think 4 hours on Steam, and I put it down. I said I can't play anymore. I want to play it on Switch. And then when we got the Switch version and we got the codes to play it, I think I played like 15 hours. I'm like, okay, I need to play other games now. I got hooked back into it. It's so good, and I'm going back to it, after Rise of the Ronin and stuff, and it's just it's so good.
Very nice. And then we had some Kickstarter updates too.
Yeah, Phil, you want to talk about some Kickstarter updates? Pick one. We'll alternate.
Which one do I want to talk about?
Which one, Phil, do you think was my favorite update?
I don't know. I know what my favorite update is because I championed the game so hard. And that was
Talk about yours favorite then. Phil.
well, I always love hearing about Crystalla because that I'm a big Souls lover, so any update about that makes me happy. I love the team. They're fantastic ladies, so talented. They do so many amazing. I love seeing their games. They recently, I think they just did some live stream about showing off
Pack
the.
East.
Yeah.
The live.
Yeah, they did a live stream, Pack East, where they showed off more of the game and update. And they're always, I'm always getting email updates about everything that they're doing, and I'm reading through it, and I'm like, I'm giddy for it because I just really am excited for that game, like a Souls game where I'm a cat and I'm jumping on the buildings. I'm walking on a what is that, a tripwire? I think that's what they say it is. Is that a tripwire? I don't know the right term for it, but you're walking on that and you're crawling and jumping around, and oh man, I'm excited for that game. And then also Guard Shard Chronicles, like that. Oh, that game is so amazing. It's like everything that I want in a retro inspired RPG, and everything they're doing with all the stretch goals, how much money that it made, it just it, I think that's going to be truly amazing. People are going to love that game when it comes out. I'm personally really excited for it because I love those old style RPGs. I love throwback games. It makes me feel like I'm a young kid, teenager again, playing those old RPGs that were so fun to me, like Chrono Trigger and Secret of Mana. So I'm excited for that. It did phenomenal on Kickstarter. So those two always really stand out to me because those are the ones that I'm personally more excited. That I'm personally really excited for. What about you, Barry?
I mean,
Excited
both.
for all of them.
Yeah,
I'm excited for all of them, and both. Every game is something that I championed. Those Crystalla, Astro Clock Tower Studios. I met them when they first started doing Play NYC 2019. They had a very different Crystalla that they showed me. I was there for Nintendo Fuse and fell in love with the game and what they showed off and the team, and I've been working with them ever since. And so happy that we were doing their game. And Godchart Chronicles, I was talking to Elman so much, just to even give us a chance, and of course, just throughout the whole campaign, just been working with him personally and doing what we can to assist and helping him out. And both those campaigns are great. They both succeeded. and they're now past their campaign, but both games have backer kits.
Yeah.
So please, if you could still get the Kickstarter exclusive physicals with both games, as well as support them in other ways. So please check out both of their backer kits. We also showed a new update from Poglings from Chad
Yeah.
Tronic.
That game looks so cute.
Great YouTuber. Oh, that game looks amazing. And that's still being worked on. Another game we championed and always have a blast talking with Chad. And I love that they're adding in like the sumo fighting. It's not just racing, because when they sold it to us, it was just racing. We're like, we love your idea. Now they're adding in extra stuff. So that was a surprise to us when we saw that as well. So I was like, oh, this is so cool. So you could check out the new gameplay trailer in the direct. And then the Kickstarter we have going on right this moment is Atomic Owl.
Oh yeah.
And Atomic Owl is a roguelike Sonic the Hedgehog, if you will. You're a ninja owl with a demonic blade that talks, and it can transform into different weapons like a hammer and a whip. And this game just has a cyberpunk aesthetic, the synthwave musical soundtrack, just a gorgeous game, very fluid combat, you died, you didn't die because the controls sucked, you died because you need to get good and you get back into it. And it's just a great game. This is still on Kickstarter, it's still live, it is funded, it's working on stretch goals now, so please support this game. Monster Theater is a wonderful team. If Borderlands, if you ever played Borderlands, he worked on Borderlands 3 and is now doing his own game. So it's like, hey, you know what? Show some support. These are indie developers. These are people who worked for the big guy and want to do their own thing, and now they are doing their own thing. They just announced East Asia Soft is doing the digital as well. So they got digital publisher, they got physical publisher. We're working with East Asia Soft again, and then we're happy to do that. And we want to bring the best for Atomic Owl. So please show support there.
Very nice. Anything else you want to update prior to us jumping into our next part of the episode here?
Yeah, a couple things. One, want to give you a little tease. How about tease? You like teases? Okay. You didn't expect that. See,
I wasn't.
I came prepared. So if you paid attention, Godchard Chronicles, we launched that Kickstarter on February 29th. And before that Kickstarter ended, we daisy changed it with Atomic Owl. Well, what if I told you the chain doesn't end there?
Oh, well, damn it, Barry. So now I got to wait until the next direct.
No, you don't. In fact, you might only have to wait until this week.
Ooh, okay.
Oh.
All right,
cool. No, we'll definitely be talking about it in the next direct but we don't have to wait that long.
So we'll be seeing this on X, formerly known as Twitter.
Social media, our mailing lists, text alerts, sign up. I'll tell you this. This one involves a licensed property.
Ooh.
All right. This is good stuff. All right, cool.
I also want to quickly go over we have a bunch of in-stock games on premiumeditiongames.com. So please, if you haven't checked this out, or you haven't, there's a release maybe you missed, please go over there and pick them up. You can get them now. They're in stock. There's a ton of games still available, but they are selling out. And I don't, Phil and I do the emails, and we don't want to see emails like, oh, it's sold out, I missed it. Is there any way? Like, we try and tell people like, go. So they are selling, so make sure to get them.
Yeah, lots of great titles. Series 6. Like Wonderling, and we have Pigeon Devs, Rain on Your Parade. Rain on Parade is such a funny, cute game. Like, if you love funny, cute games that just make fun of a lot of things and have pop culture references, you will love that game. Wonderling is
we
cute
beat
platformer.
That one here. And...
Oh, sorry.
I think I saw Robot Named Fight, Mighty Fight Federation, were a couple others.
Yes,
Robot Named Fight is down to like 200 copies.
Seriously, get that.
Mighty Fight is low.
If you always wanted a Metroidvania, but then it had like a little bit of random generation where the levels kind of change up, the enemies change up, the weapons change up, go check that out, because that game is so damn cool. You'll have fun with that if you love Metroidvanias. There's just lots of
Absolutely.
awesome stuff. We have lots of variety of great games. There's something for everybody. So definitely go to the website, premiumeditiongames.com, and check out our games. I'm pretty sure you'll find something you'll love.
We also did an update quickly on Series 6, Wife Quest. We're waiting for the last few physical items to arrive, so we expect them to be shipping out the pre-orders here very soon. Super Dungeon Maker, we're unfortunately still waiting for that last bug fix. They're working on the last bugs that Nintendo sent the game back and said, no, we're not going to approve your last patch. This bug happened. So we're waiting on that before we print, but we did delay it because we wanted that big content update. So we thank everyone for their patience. And Uncharted and Lonesome Village are just about ready to go into physical production. And Sunshine, we alluded that Camp Sunshine was delayed. Since then, Camp Sunshine has been shown on the Switch and is actually in digital lot check as of now, which is great. They had to rebuild the game virtually to work on the Switch. So hopefully we'll have Sunshine going into production here slightly after the others, but soon. And then we did have the hype button. You mentioned the hype button, and it would be remiss to not talk about what happened when that button was hit. We showed off a game that I think the majority of people have probably never heard of, and it's a crying shame that they haven't. And that is Curse Crackers, For Whom the Bell Toils. And that is a game I'm so happy to be representing and talking about.
Oh my goodness.
This is a fun action platformer done in a Game Boy, Super Game Boy, Game Boy Color-esque style graphics. It's fast-paced. It's great for speedrunners, but there's a bunch of collectibles, so it's great for the completionists out there. It's got side quests. It's got quirky characters and just what a charm of a game. And ironically, not the first game we've done where you have to rescue your boyfriend or husband from another woman.
Well, I saw that one after the hype button, and dude, the art style in that is really what kind of got me.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
It's
just super fast paced.
I remember it was like Barry was like, "Hey, Phil, play this game. This can be one of our games." And I'm like, "Okay." And I read the title and was like, "Well, that's a unique title." And then I'm trying it, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I fell in love with this game. I swear, I played like 15 hours. I totally fell off, and I was just having such a good time. It is so fun. The gameplay, the visuals, the environment, the character, the music. Oh my gosh, the music. I gush about this game.
Oh, yeah.
I am generally excited about this game, and I had no idea it existed. It's another one of those Phenotopia type games where it's totally under the radar. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody knows. And then you play it, and you're like, "This is so damn good. I want this now. I want this on my shelf." It's really, really phenomenal game.
Yes,
you need to get statues for that one. Those would be some pretty cool statues, like with that unique color scheme to kind of throw with it. That'd be awesome.
Or a plush of Chime. The little bill.
Oh yeah,
there you go. That's cheaper.
Chime plush or Bell plush. But no, that's the problem, is that there's so many games every single week. There's like 20 something new games, and a lot of games fall under the radar. And once they fall under the radar, even initially, it's virtually impossible to get back up without throwing themselves at like 99 cents or whatever to get traction. So we're happy that we were able to give them a new life and a new attention without them having to discount their game to virtually free. And it's definitely helps the developers, and we're excited to be showing more Curse Crackers and showing off the edition later this year. But that's just a tease for next time.
Yep. Very good. Well, we had mentioned all those games you guys have available. And, some of them are starting at $40. You got 50, you got 60, wide range of prices on those games. So really, not only is there a game for everybody, but there's prices to accommodate different individuals out there as well. So I found a nice little topic here through IGN by Jacob Kindlin on how much are you willing to spend on a game. So I think, pretty fun discussion with us to kind of, I'm always along the lines of waiting for new releases to drop in price. Obviously, for you guys, it's a little different because there's a limited quantity. So if you want it at the lowest price, you kind of have to buy it right off the bat, which is beneficial to gamers in a sense too, because you're offering it at the lowest cost it's going to be. at the end of the day, ordering for you guys directly.
Yep.
So, as far as games right now, they're sitting at about $70, but it's not uncommon to see games coming out at $100 for special editions. We've heard people say, different people in the industry, that hey, it's not sustainable. $70, we're going to end up having games at a higher price. GTA 6 has been teased to be like well above the $70 price point. So, want to kind of get from you guys, what are your perspectives on what you're willing to pay for a game? Dragon's Dogma 2, for example, right? Phil just shelled out for that, but there's a ton
Yeah.
of issues that Barry cited, and I'm sure Barry, you might wish, hey, if I would either not buy this now or I would have waited until it's like $10. So
I would have waited, but I bought it at launch because I wanted to play it. And
yeah.
for $70 and then to still charge microtransactions. It's different if the game is free, because it's free, the microtransactions kind of fill out the price. But when you charge $70 and, and add microtransaction on top of it, it's like, seriously?
So Barry, we'll kick off with you. Like beyond
Yeah.
that, I mean, what is your, let's just say you have an eye on a game and you're like, I kind of want to play that, but I've got so many other games in a backlog. That one can wait. What's like that perfect price point
So
for you?
well, the way I play games is I kind of look at a calendar, look at like a release, and I fill out a calendar for the year of these are games. This is my roadmap. And if there's a gap in between games, that's when I'll go into the backlog or I'll play, I'll do something else. Especially because during my whole roadmap, I'm constantly testing games for premium and playing games for review with Nintendo Fuse. So there's always smaller games thrown in there. But if it's a game on that roadmap, I pre-order it. That means I want to play it day one. Um, and absolutely, if it's 60, 70, whatever, it's got my attention, it's got my interest, and it's worth it because time is valuable. And if I have
Yes.
the opportunity to play it at launch, I might not have the opportunity when it's 20, 30, $40. So I don't mind paying a little extra to be able to enjoy it when I can. Because time is valuable. And, with a child, you never know what tomorrow will bring, and you're like, I'm sit down, I'm gonna have a good few hours, then oh now nope, things have
Yep.
suddenly changed.
There's vomit everywhere. I
There's
can't do
vomit.
anything now. Yeah.
Now I got to clean up, and yeah, especially with dogs too. So it
Yeah.
all compiles. So in terms of a game I really want to play, uh, 60, $70, I'll do it. If it's cheaper, even better. For games that are, you know what, this doesn't have my interest, but maybe I'll get it down the road. If it's not a Switch game, because I'm going for the full Switch set, so I'm completely skewed there. But otherwise, normally I would wait until it's usually around $40. If it starts at $40, and whenever I get it, as long as it's something that interests me. If it's something that doesn't interest me and it's like, maybe down the road, it's got to be $5, $10, or part of it could be $20, but part of like a buy two get one free deal. Then I'll go for it. As for our prices, you mentioned, we try and be fair, and we actually base our price on the size of the Switch card, because the Switch, some games are bigger and we have to raise the price because those Switch cards are expensive. They're stupid expensive. And unfortunately, that eats most of the cost of a game. If you say, oh, a Switch game is $10, it's like they're not making anything. Like the smallest Switch card is $8. So if you see a Switch that game for $10, like there's nothing there. The developer's getting zero. you know so $20, the developers may be getting $1 at that point.
Damn.
Because it depends on also what's included. If it's just a one-sided inlay in the game cart, you know you know it's going to be super cheap. But then of course you have to still pay shipping, because even the $8 I mentioned for a Switch card, that's not shipped. Nintendo doesn't give you free shipping. They still charge you, so you still have to pay for shipping. So there's not a lot of money to be made there, and depending on what the developer is making, you know, we try and be fair to the developers. And then if you see stores that have distribution, for example, Amazon or Target or Best Buy or Walmart or wherever you go and buy your games, and if you see a game for $60, they didn't pay $60 for that game. They paid like $48 for that game. They usually have a 20% uptick. So Walmart will make $20 on that game. If you notice, a lot of times Walmart makes their games $10 cheaper. They're only making like $2 in the game. They're doing it to be competitive. That's if you remember Best Buy and Amazon used to do 20% off for pre-orders. That's why they didn't make money at all. They gave their profits to the customers to encourage you to shop there and hopefully buy other things.
It's loss leaders, what it
Loss
ends up coming out to. That's
Exactly.
all it is. I mean,
So-
they figure if you're going to go buy a game, you're also going to buy your food while you're there. You're going to buy like a new T-shirt or something along those lines, or
Exactly.
you spot another game that, maybe it's a special edition. So, yeah, totally get you on that.
So yeah, that's really where price comes from. You have to
Yeah.
factor in all this.
Yeah,
A lot of hands in that pot.
makes sense. But the point being, though, too, is that you guys are keeping it at that very competitive price point, because realistically, you could take that smaller cart that's $40 you guys have and say, oh, we're selling for 55, or 60, but you don't, right? So like that's a huge perk right there.
We did once. We upped it to 50 because we upped the quality of our slipcovers.
Yep.
And we got pushback. People were mad. That was Series 4. They got mad. And we looked at it and we went to a supplier and said, hey, you know what? You charged us more because we upgraded. And everyone could see that there's a clear upgrade. Like, you'd be blind not to. And they said, okay, we'll get it down. So we got the price down. Not as cheap as it was, but we got it down and we lowered our price again. So we lose a little bit more money, but we want to give back to the customers, and we don't want it to reflect negatively on any of our developer partners.
Yeah.
So
see, transparent pricing, folks, right here. Yeah. So I'll agree with you as well. My sweet spot for like unless it's a day one release, there are games where I will day one pick it up, and play it if I can. But $40 is definitely my sweet spot. For sure. If I could see a nice, good title at $40, I'll usually pick it up if it's something I really want. Otherwise, I'm there with you as well, right? If something I know is going to be in the backlog, I'll wait till it's $10, $20 to buy 4 for $20, buy 4 for 40, whatever it comes out to. That's usually what I'll end up doing, or I'll just kind of scour the internet until I find something on a cheaper price point. But yeah, I love that $40 price point. To me, that's like the perfect area. And
standard editions too, though.
Collector's editions. Standard, not collectors. Yeah. Now, collector's editions, occasionally, if it's been overproduced and not a lot of popularity, you can get them pretty cheap. I remember getting the Darksiders 3, I think it was. It was a collector's edition, had a statue and everything else. I got it for like $30.
That's awesome.
Right. It's ridiculous. I'm like,
well, THQ would always over like $350 collector's editions or something.
Oh yeah, I still see that.
It's like stupid stuff. But like
SpongeBob Bikini Bottom with the 3 statues or something. I think I saw that for Switch just a couple of days ago for like $50, and I thought, but I'm like, I don't have the space for that.
Yeah, space is a big
thing. It's honestly not bad. Like when you start seeing statues at in collector's editions for anything less than 50, if it's a game and a character you really like or you think is going to look cool on your shelf, like that's an auto pickup for most collectors. Anything 50 and below for collector's edition with the statue, it's like you
God of War, the 2018 PS4 collector's edition. I think GameStop had it discounted for like $50, and I went ahead and I got that. So I mean, that was like $100 and something edition.
I missed out on that one. So I remember seeing it for like $60, $70 at Best Buy. And at the time I was a little crunched on money. We were moving and some other stuff going on. And I was like, man, I can't justify it. And I wish I would have pulled the trigger back then on a $60 God of War collector's edition, because then when a new one came out, you can't find a, spare set anywhere because they've reduced the amount of prints they're doing for that type of stuff. So yeah. Phil, what about yourself on that sweet spot for price point?
Well, I used to pre-order a lot of games, and now I'm trying not to pre-order tons of games. It has to be a game that I know I'm really going to be interested in, or like some people, if it had a really cool pre-order bonus, I'll be inclined to get it. So I pre-ordered the Princess Peach game at Best Buy to get the little cute acrylic standee, but also the DS Peach game is an adorable game, and to me, this kind of feels like a sequel to that in a way, because Peach is, I don't know how many games she's starred in only, or I think it was just that other game, so I kind of thought this was a big thing to get. And I also wanted to pre-order that because GameStop gave me this big, huge store display piece. They kind of goaded me in it. They said, if you sign up for our Power Up Rewards, I'll give you this. And it was a big, huge cloth thing. So I was like, fine, that's worth it. So I kind of felt like I had to pre-order that. But thanks, GameStop. Thanks.
Sounds like the GameStop rep was like, man, I'm
Yeah.
gonna miss my numbers on
Yeah.
our monthly program. Oh, look, here
Start
comes
giving away the
Phil.
store.
Here's a cardboard clock of some sort. Have it.
And the thing about that, I was like, well, it's like what, $20 or so for that membership, and this thing is not normally something you can buy because they either give that to the staff or they throw that out or whatever. And I thought, well, this is definitely worth $20 because there'll probably be somebody like scalping this online for like $100 or something down the road or more. So I thought, why not? But also, I think the GameStop in my area is closing down. I was informed that that's going to happen within the next week or so. I don't know if that's true. So I'm like, how am I going to use this reward $5 monthly thing? I guess I'm not going to be able to.
Is that the only GameStop in your area?
Yeah, that's the only one, and it's like a college. There's a college right behind it, so I was kind of baffled. But
dude, if I were you, I would be in there saying, cases, anything along those lines for your little game room there. I would totally ask those employees like now, hey, you're going to be closing down in X period of time, right? When are you going to sell these cases? And if they have a DS case, like that type of stuff's badass, dude, for setups in the house.
Yeah, I actually did call it the other day when I was informed about it from a friend, and they had no idea. And then I was told afterwards, it's like, oh yeah, they were told after that. I was like, oh man, I hope I didn't just do something bad. But I generally wanted to know if they were going to discount a bunch of stuff, have a sale, get rid of a lot of stuff. Because if they're shutting down within the next week, I want to run over there and get what I can get, So that's why
a lot of those games will be sent to other stores.
Yeah, it'll send a lot of that stuff off, but they'll end up selling a lot of like the cases and standees and things like that. Yeah. So what you need to do is get you a U-Haul, back it up to the GameStop, and then just walk in and say, hey, I'm buying the place. And just start loading it in.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Might be some.
Cool. Well, talking value, our inflation deflation for this week is a little bit of a spin. So Fallout TV show just came out. All right, it's based off the video game, so we got to tie it in here in some capacity. And I want to know, like, time is money. Is it worth our time to sit back and watch this TV show in its entirety? So, article I'm going to reference here is from Games Radar, and it's Emily Garbett, and it is saying fans are calling the Fallout TV show one of the best video game adaptations ever, and critics agree, judging by its near perfect Rotten Tomatoes score. I want to say it's near perfect because it's 93. That's not near perfect. But you got a 93 rating on Rotten Tomatoes and an 85 on the actual folks that are like us watching the show. I watched episodes 2.5 last night. Barry, I think you watched 3 episodes. And then Phil, did you finish episode 3 last night?
Yes, finished episode 3.
Okay, so I'm behind with you guys. So let's not talk too much in episode 3. That said, though, I'm mixed here, right? So is it the best adaptation ever? I would say no. I think Last of Us so far definitely takes that one for me as far as adaptations are concerned for TV. But I like it. It's got all of that quirkiness that you would expect from a Fallout game. From the main character, Lucy, and her experience coming out of the vault and all the humor that's tied to that in visiting the wasteland and introducing herself and being like this corny, almost like apologetic Nebraska girl is kind of how it was portrayed in the show, and how she was raised up in the vault. And then of course all the other there was like one little Easter egg in, I think it was the 3rd episode, where the ghoul is talking to her and she says something about like the golden rule, and he references like going like the golden rule is not going on all these different damn side missions and such. I'm like, oh, that's just like the video game, right? Like you don't have this one clear path. You are always like spread out doing all these different things in Fallout that are not the main storyline. And so that kind of resonated right away with that little bit of an Easter egg I felt. in the show. And then like the weapons, the exploding heads, the bullets blowing into people, shooting off the dude's leg, like all of those. I'm not getting into which character, obviously, on that for spoiler purposes, but all of these little things, like the rad roach. Like my wife is watching, she's like, "I'm so confused. What's happening?" I'm like, just let it happen. Like this is Fallout. This is how it works. You go into this world and you have no idea what's happening, and just things happen.
Yeah.
And just what do you guys think so far?
Well,
Go for
the
it, Phil.
first thing that I want to say, the joke that keeps sticking in my head and I can't stop. I won't actually say it because it's kind of vulgar for the podcast, but when he comes down and the power armor, and I won't say who has the power armor, and he sees those two people arguing, and he's like, "Oh, I need to intervene and save this citizen." And then he separates them, and he was like, don't kill me." It was like, I'm sorry, but he just keeps wanting to have sex with my chickens. He like looks at him baffled, and I just couldn't stop laughing. And I was like, this would happen in the Fallout games. This absolutely would happen.
The thing that got me on that one is that he starts talking about like, "Thank you for allowing me to, handle my scientific curiosities."
I was like, what?
But did you guys catch like the serum cellar?
Yeah.
Toward like when they're in Philly and you look at the bucket behind him. Did you notice that? I looked at my wife and I'm like, "That's disgusting." Like what we just saw. She's like, "What was it?" I rewound it. She's like, "Oh, that's gross." I'm like, "Yeah, scientific curiosities."
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So bad, dude.
Oh my goodness.
But dude, I'm right with you. That is something that would happen in the game. I mean, you have the guy that's like the water filter. Have you tried putting water in it? No.
Yeah, that was funny.
You have any water?
And he was like, "You got any
"No."
water?" "Yeah, sure." He hands them the water, and she's like, "Sir, I might need some of that." And he's like, "Yeah, I needed some of that too." And he
The rule in the
drunk
wasteland is like, if somebody gives you water, you drink it, even if you don't need to drink the water.
It's got some
So,
great.
dude, there's so much good humor.
It's got some great jokes and great humor, and a lot of people, they don't watch it, because I was watching this with my mom, and she had a lot of questions, and she didn't really know, and the jokes kind of went over her head. But if you're a fan of the games and you see these jokes playing out, you're like, I understand that, I get it, because it's the humor matches the game, and that is so important, because in a world where everything is just gone to heck and back, it's you gotta have that sense of humor, because this is a dangerous world. When he was explaining why you don't start a fire at night and the rad roaches, that would be horrifying. Like, I don't think anybody likes roaches, but having an actual roach as big as a child coming at you in packs and that will devour you if you start a fire, no thank you.
Barry, what's been your impression so far, other than what we discussed?
Yeah, no, it was one of those things where I only played some of Fallout 3 and some Fallout Shelter. I never really got into the games. I'm not a big first-person shooter guy, and I know, I have them. I have them all, I believe. But it's just one of those things where it never really grabbed me. But I did enjoy the story. It was just the games themselves didn't grab. So when my wife and I were caught up on all our shows, we're like, watch something. I said, all right, the Fallout series just came on. It's gotten good reviews. Are you interested in checking it out? She's like, yep, you know what? Let's start it. And if I don't like it, I don't like it, and you can continue without me. And she's never played Fallout. She's not a first person shooter person either. And then she's hooked. And she's like, oh, let's watch another episode. Let's watch another episode. And I love that when you can take an adaptation and have things for the fans, but also grab people who have no interest in the games,
Mhm.
and that is good storytelling. And like you
Well,
said, you go on.
no, I was gonna say, I mean, you and I are both in the exact same situation,
Yeah.
right? So you played a little bit of Fallout 3. I beat Fallout years ago, so I don't even remember the story, right? But I remember a lot of the quirkiness, and my wife hasn't played it. And I think you had been on episodes with us where Last of Us came out, obviously on HBO, and she had not played the games, hadn't touched it, watched Last of Us, and said, "I need to play this game immediately." And now she's kind of in the same boat. Same kind of situation, right? Oh, I want to keep watching Fallout TV show, and now it's, well, which games do we have? I'm really interested in checking this out and playing this whole world and seeing it kind of come into play. So very similar situation to you, and really the same outcome as
Yeah.
last go
Mhm.
around.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's very well done. I love the characters. I love the acting. The special effects are great. It's just a really fun experience. I wouldn't say it's the best adaptation
Yeah, yeah.
of game. It's and again, I haven't finished it. At least I haven't finished the last 5 episodes. But just what I've seen so far, it's a great adaptation. It is absolutely a great adaptation, and just a lot of fun. I love that they don't hold anything back. Like this is not a game or TV show for kids. Like there are heads blown off, there are bodies blown off, there's body counts, there's vulgar language. There's that, yeah, there's certain things are squished and destroyed,
Yeah.
and there's one scene where there's all the soldiers in the Brotherhood of Steel, and like one guy's literally on his cot masturbating, and you can clearly see it. And I'm just like, oh yeah, like they don't hold anything back in this world, and I like that because it gives some brevity and some reality to it. Because if you were in this situation, you wouldn't hold anything back because we don't hold anything back in the real world as is. In this situation, of course, we're going to be more vulgar because our lives would have been much worse. So I like what they did. Each episode is long too. It's like an hour long.
Mhm.
Hour
Um,
and 20 minutes is
20
what I
minutes.
was looking at. Yeah.
Yeah. So like these are almost like mini movies in a sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it doesn't feel that way. Like it goes by really quickly, and the pacing is good.
Yeah.
And at first it was a little confusing because like the first episode it introduces you to the different characters and stuff. But the only thing I wish, and I know the fall games don't really do it at all, but I kind of wish we got to see, and we're seeing a little bit with flashbacks in the third episode, but I wish we got to see more of the before times, because whenever there's a thing like this, I always like to see the before. Like
Mhm.
I'd love to see the world truly as it was before everything happened, and then as it's happening, like we see the bombs go off in one particular area. But I could sit and watch, you know, a full episode just on before with nothing negative happening, just the build up, and then one episode of the devastation and the literal fallout and the panic because it cuts. How did those people get to the vault? Who are there people already in the vault at this time? Like all these questions I would love to see. I would love to see the mass panic. And what about the rural areas? How did they kind of devolve into what became the wasteland? And I like, to me, that is fascinating. And it's cool to hear about it in retrospect, but I like to see how it happens as well.
Mhm.
So I could do a whole 8 episodes just on that transition before even getting to this, and I would be happy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see like the rest of the episodes and see if they cover that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I, I,
Awesome.
I feel like if the show continues to do well, which from what they're saying is praised really highly, and I wouldn't say it's the best video game adaptation I've ever seen because there is some inconsistencies. Like I said earlier, he warned her about starting a fire at night, and then like in the next episode, she's by a campfire and it's becoming night, and I'm like,
And or dusk.
he just told you like an episode ago not to do that. So there is some still inconsistencies here and there, and there are some characters that aren't really that interesting. I don't think her brother is really gripping me. A lot of the other characters in the vault are just kind of forgettable. Um, but overall, it's a solid show. I would say it's probably maybe a 7 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. We'll see how I feel when I finish it. but the setting is really good. The colors are really good, and they got everything nailed right. The music, I love how they are actually using some of the songs that you would listen to in the radio in Fall Night when you're walking around and doing stuff. They actually took those songs they used in the game and put it in the show, which is really nice. So I'm enjoying it so far. I can't wait to see what they do, and I feel like they could do some other spin-off shows. Maybe they'll do a show before the Fallout. Maybe they'll do more shows. Maybe they'll cover something about New Vegas. Maybe they'll cover something about this other game. There's so much they can do with this universe if they continue it.
Yeah, totally agree with you. So I think probably general consensus here, I'm around an 8 out of 10 personally on this so far.
8 out of 10 too.
Yeah, you 8 out of 10. I mean, we'll see how it continues on through the rest of the episode, but I think it's safe to say this show's worth your time, right? So I would call it deflated for today's week. So definitely worth the time to check it out and see if it interests you in playing the games further. Well, that'll be it for today's episode, but want to say thank you, Barry, and thank you, Phil, for hopping on again. Always a pleasure to have you both here, talk about Premium Edition games, and just really talk gaming in general. So thanks.
Thank you so much for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good stuff, man. No problem. Always happy to have you guys on. Well, for all of us listening, this has been episode 282 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John. I've been joined by Barry and Phil of Premium Edition Games. Thanks for listening.